first sentence?
The obligation to express gratitude cannot be fulfilled anonymously. Does everyone agree with her? Does anybody disagree?
I think it's human, sorry guys, I'm totally bombing today, but I kind of feel like it's human psychology is still driven primarily by personal interaction.
Okay, so we have Ronley that thinks, and don't apologize for this, because if you ask a question that's a little bit off, if people cannot answer it, then they still have something to learn.
And I am just like you, because I also am not sure, but I think it's the thus part.
Oh, perfect. We got them all in here. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have some thus, the important social factor. Okay. So if I was going to read this one out loud, I would say the psychologist is saying the obligation to express gratitude cannot be fulfilled anonymously. Okay, so if I need to like thank someone for someone, I can't do it, or I can't fulfill that need to thank them anonymously. Like they need to know probably that I'm expressing gratitude. However, we have a contradiction word, or like a contract word here. However, much society may have changed over the centuries. Human psychology is still driven primarily by human interaction. So even though like society has changed, people still need personal interaction. We see this right now with COVID, right? Like people are in quarantine to stay like physically healthy, but people are struggling mentally because they're not having that as much personal interaction. Thus, the important social function of positive reinforcing those behaviors that have beneficial consequences for others can be served only if the benefactor knows the source of the gratitude.
Oh, I think it's that one.
I think actually they're kind of saying the same thing, aren't they? Do you see how these are kind of circular?
Yep.
Between this, and it says, thus, this happens only if the benefit is known. Thus, the important social function of positively reinforcing behaviors that have beneficial consequences for others can be served only if. I think we also use, I think what this last sentence being our conclusion also really helps. Well, sorry, I just wrote that wrong. So it sounds kind of crazy. The first sentence is going to be our main conclusion, but if you pick the last sentence, I can see why. But this is kind of explaining why gratitude cannot be fulfilled anonymously. It cannot be fulfilled anonymously because we can only have this positivity if people know the source of their gratitude. All right, so then whenever we get to these questions, this is an example of what a role question will look like. And it says, which of the following most accurately describes the role played in the psychologist's argument by the claim that the obligation to express gratitude cannot be fulfilled anonymously? Well, this one we said was our conclusion, but let's say it was a different sentence. Let's say that it was this middle sentence here. However, much society may have changed over the centuries, human psychology is still driven primarily by personal interaction. What I would do is I would highlight that, and then I make a prediction of how that sentence is related to my conclusion. So let's say that we're looking at this, where I am highlighting with yellow right now, this sentence. Think about what role does this play in the argument in relationship to our conclusion? Take 30 seconds. All right. Tatiana, what do you think?
Is it a premise?
Yeah, it's a premise. And how is it being used in relation to the conclusion?
It's supporting it. It's saying why.
It's saying that like this is the primary driver, therefore you can't express gratitude, or gratitude cannot be fulfilled anonymously, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that's not what this question is asking. This question is actually just asking this first sentence. So go ahead, and I'm going to review this, and go ahead and put your answer in the chat. All right, 30 more seconds.
I'm having the same problem, Nicole. For some reason, it just doesn't let me like message the whole chat.
Oh yeah, I have it. Can you measure it just to me though? Because I'm the only one looking at it.
Oh, sure.
All right. So what did we say that this was? Okay, so we're looking at, let me highlight it. So here, the statement that it's asking us is, the obligation to express gratitude cannot be fulfilled anonymously. So that's this first sentence up here. What did we say before we even looked at the answer choices that this sentence was? Shanice?
The conclusion?
The conclusion, yeah. And if you went in knowing it was the conclusion, was this answer pretty easy?
Yes.
Yes. So we had one person say A. I think you, Myra, you said A. Sorry to call you out.
I'm very confused right now because my kids are distracting me.
Okay, good. I was confused. I was confused by your answer because we just went okay. And then okay. So, anyways, so it's not. We said that this is the conclusion. It's not an illustration. As soon as I read that it says it's an illustration, I crossed it off because an illustration is used to explain the conclusion, right? We're not, in this illustration, you're not trying to prove to someone an illustration. The other answer choice someone said was D. It is used to identify the social benefit with which the argument is concerned. I don't think we're identifying the social benefit with which the argument is concerned. What would be the social benefit up here that it's identifying? I think a social benefit might be personal interaction, which if someone picked on this one, maybe you were looking at the one that I did in the warm-up of asking this question, because that would be a good answer choice for like that sentence. So why, Ray, is E our answer?
Why is it our answer?
What?
You said, why is it our answer?
Yeah, why is E our answer?
It's our conclusion.
Yeah, it's the only, I love it when this happens. It is the conclusion.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so we have in the question stem by the claim, I identify claim as like conclusion. So could I just think that this claim, that obligation to express, that it's the conclusion?
No, claim sometimes can be a conclusion. However, claim is just like a sentence or a word. So it could have said by the claim, and after this part here, they could have filled in with either of these sentences too. That wouldn't have been the conclusion. Unfortunately, that is a little bit tricky. All right, so real quick, we're going to go over one other question type.